for the public forum, right? Yes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start this meeting in about 1 minute. If you could take your seats, please. All right, we're going to go ahead and call this to order. This is the second public budget hearing. Today is September 20th, 2022. It's 5:33 p.m. Go ahead and call this to order. Please turn your cell phone to the vibrate, silence, or off setting. Proof of publication. Was the meeting properly advertised?
Mr. Chairman, the second public hearing for consideration of the final budget for fiscal year 2022-2023 was advertised in the Escambia Sun Press on September 15th, 2022, and the board's weekly meeting schedule.
Thank you. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
The notice of proposed tax increase and the budget summary for fiscal year 2022-2023 were advertised in the Pensacola News Journal on September 16th, 2022.
Thank you very much. The chair would entertain a motion to adopt this agenda.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion is second to adopt the agenda. Please vote.
I'm not in yet, Mr. Chairman. So
Mr. Chairman, we don't have everyone logged in
I
yet.
can raise my hand.
Sorry.
Okay, all those signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, it passes unanimously. All right. Board action items. The 531 is a public hearing for consideration of the final budget for fiscal year 2022-2023. presentation of the budget. County Administrator Wes Marino, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, this is the second of two required public hearings for the board to adopt the fiscal year 2022-2023 budget. At its first public hearing held September 6, 2022, the Board of County Commissioners adopted the tentative millage rates and budget for fiscal year 2022 and 2023. The law requires that prior to consideration of the final budget, an explanation of the rollback rate be provided and entered into the records. The rollback rate is a computed millage rate that would generate the same amount of ad valorem tax dollars as the prior fiscal year based on the proposed year's tax roll excluding new construction. The millage rates tentatively approved by the Escambia County Board of County Commissioners on September the 6th, 2022 are 6.6165 for the countywide millage rate, 0.3590 for the Library Municipal Services Taxing Unit, and 0.6850 for the Sheriff's Law Enforcement Municipal Services Taxing Unit. The aggregate of these millage rates proposed for fiscal year 2022-2023 is 13.20%, above the rollback rate of 6.5969 certified by the property appraiser. This represents the percentage increase in property taxes tentatively adopted by the board. Staff has recommended one amendment to the fiscal year 2022-2023 tentative budget. This amendment for an increase of $31,478,904 is for recommended adjustments to the tentative budget. The revised budget will result in a balanced unified budget of $654,458,355, which is 15.17% more than the adopted fiscal year 2021-22 budget of $568,262,165.
Okay, thank you, Wes. Any discussion from my fellow board members? Seeing none, the chair would entertain a motion on 4.1.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on item 4.1. All those in favor? Well, actually, please vote. We're all logged in now.
We need three.
3? Oh, Lumen?
It just came through.
Just came through, okay. All right, that passes 4-1 with Commissioner Underhill voting against. Next, we'll move to item 4-2. I know that, Stefan, there was a number of changes. Would you like to go through those? You'll be recognized.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I just passed out a handout, and you'll also see on your screen currently the most current version of our agency application list. So some of those changes had to do with Brace. They dropped out their allocation for this year. As the board is aware, and with the direction of the board, we did send the agencies that are highlighted in the light blue to be considered for funding through the Children's Trust. My understanding is the Children's Trust did fund the Escambia School Readiness Coalition.
Steph, do we know what the School Readiness Coalition budget is? I mean, what's their overall budget?
I can pull it for you. I don't know right off the top of my head.
You get somebody to pull it before we leave tonight.
Okay, yes, sir.
Thanks.
So the remaining allocations, Commissioner, will be up to consider tonight. Also, the board provided staff direction and as well as our agency partners direction that even those considered for the Children's Trust, we would leave that funding placeholder
Yes.
in the budget in the event that they were not to be considered. So,
And if they are considered at some further date, we could make an adjustment, a
Yes,
budget
sir.
adjustment. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, gentlemen, I have a voting conflict on one item on this.
Mr. Chairman, before
Yes.
you talk about that,
Yeah.
I certainly want to make sure that we allocate those funds that were in those line items to be put in reserve for reallocation at a later date.
Yeah, that's exactly what he just said.
Right, yeah, I just want to concur.
Yeah, it's going to be there, and then
And then we can reallocate it and decide where we want it to go.
yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
I believe that's what, I believe, Stefan, that's
Is that
my
correct, Stephen?
I apologize. I was trying to get your item information for you for Early Learning Coalition.
So that money it'll be a placeholder, but we will
Yes,
have it, it
yes,
will
sir.
not be allocated.
Yes, sir.
It's a part of the budget, but not allocated.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, as I was saying, I have a voting conflict, so I'll be unable to vote on 4.2. I've got my state-dictated Form 8B. It's a memorandum of voting conflict for county, municipal, and other local public officers. So seeing no discussion here, I'll just go ahead and, Allison, this is the appropriate time for me to read this, correct? If I'm going to abstain from the vote? Okay.
Yes, sir.
I, Jeff Bergosh, hereby disclose on September 20th, 2022, a measure came or will come before my agency which would inure to the special gain or loss of my relative, my wife, who is employed by and the executive director of the Health and Hope Clinic, Incorporated. The measure before my agency and the nature of my conflict in interest in the measure is as follows. Board of County Commissioners, second budget hearing, 9/2022, item 4-2, board discussion to approve community partners funding at the amounts discussed at the first public hearing held on September 6, 2022. My wife, Sally Bergosh, is employed by Health and Hope Clinic as the executive director, which creates a conflict of interest pursuant to Florida statutes 1112.3143, or an appearance of a conflict of interest pursuant to Florida statutes 286.012 Florida statutes. I've signed this, and I will be submitting it right after the meeting. Chair would entertain a motion or any discussion on this topic.
Mr. Chairman, the Sisters for Anointed, can you put the screen back up for the outside agency funding, Stephen, please? So Sisters Anointed Lead Together Salt, although we didn't have anything proposed, did we also send their names over to Children Trust?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Also, Commissioner, Early Learning Coalition, their total budget is just under 18 million.
18 million.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Wow. Interesting. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The chair would entertain a motion on the community partners.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second, I do have a question. So, Stefan, as we're looking through these, any of them, whether it's general fund, CDGB, LOST, what have you, I mean, we're approving the annual allocation, but we're actually paying them through quarterly. We're paying them, via quarterly.
Yes, sir. So some of these are going to be quarterly, and some of them will just be whenever they get enough receipts to submit for reimbursement.
So we're not advancing anybody, correct, anymore?
So Visit Pensacola does receive an advance. And
The PDC allocation is paid quarterly? Okay.
yes, sir.
So the only people that we're advancing is Visit?
I also believe that HRC has requested a upfront as well. Yes.
Right, and so I want that to be included.
Okay.
That HRC will be advanced.
Do we need an amended motion, or was that to be understood, Stefan?
I got it, Commissioners. I appreciate
Okay,
it.
very good. Robert, you recognized?
Thank you. Can you put the, this back up? Because I think, because the proposed is not what's been slated as the adopted, right? Because you got that funding level off to the side, right? So that's really what's being adopted.
So, yes, sir. What you see to the right where I have a column that's BCC directed. So ultimately, I'm looking for the direction from the board tonight with the amounts that the board would like to fund each agency.
Okay. So if we scroll down, it's just different what's on the sheet, but that it's what's on your spreadsheet there, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Stephen, what is eComfort? What do they do? Oh, Tisdale? Oh, okay. Never mind, she feeds people.
Jose, you want to give him a little bit more?
We're good.
Seeing no further discussion, I would call the question, and please vote. Community partner funding passes 3-1 with Commissioner Underhill voting against, and with one abstention from myself. And here's the form. Doug, would you pass that down? Go ahead and pass that. Thank you. All right, next up on the agenda, we're going to move into the public forum. We do have a number of speakers. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes, and we will start this evening with Vanessa Manos. Good evening. Just state your name when you come to the podium. You'll be recognized for your 3 minutes.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Vanessa Manos, and I'm the president of the HOA for Maple Leaf Estates. We're a privately owned mobile home community located off of 9 Mile Road. I've been here before. I guess I'm really providing more of an update. We had received MSBU funding to launch our project with ECUA for all new water lines and water meters to be put into the community. Originally, when this started, was in April timeframe of 2019, and the original design that was presented to us was at $350,000. The attorneys for ECUA, the attorneys with ECUA said that there were too many liabilities with the design and they would not approve it. We had already gotten the support of all of the homeowners and went through budgeting with, at that point, working with Kobe Brown. And we did everything we were supposed to do. Well, then they presented a second design that was $738,000. I went out, we got the support. Now we were working with Rebecca McMullen. I came in front of the commissioner, the Board of Commissioners, and you unanimously approved us for the MSBU funding at $738,000. Well, there's been delays with everything, with the development, I guess because of spinoffs from the pandemic. But the final numbers came in, and needless to say, I'm not a happy camper. The numbers that were given to us 2 weeks ago, now mind you, it was $350,000, then it was $738,000. Now they've came in at over $2 million. The one amount was $2,818,000. The second bid was $2,356,000, and the third bid was $2,452,000. And so my question is for you commissioners, and I had already spoke with Rebecca before she left the county, and she was able to provide me with one bit of information. Are we, I had asked if there was an expiration on the funding, and I was told no, that there's really no expiration dates. I wanted to know, are we limited to just working with ECUA, or could we bring in maybe a different company that could at least help us with installing some water meters, and then maybe revisit in a few years if costs come down to redo our water lines? But the biggest issue, I'll make this really quick, the biggest issue we've got is we've got asbestos cement water lines.
Yes, ma'am.
And the concern for the safety of our residents, and I had even asked to get the cost down. Could you leave the existing water lines, dig out the existing water lines and put the new water lines in the same spot? Because if they move it and they dig into the edge of the roads, it's going to be a lot more expensive.
Yes, ma'am. Understood. I think Commissioner Berry has some information for you. Commissioner Berry, you're
I
recognized.
don't have that information. I have some comments. Vanessa, thank you for being here. Nice to see y'all. Mr. Chairman, I have been involved in this since 2019 as well. And, you know, what's extremely disappointing about it is, you know, I feel like that I've done, you know, every step of the way, have done everything that I can do to help my constituents in this manner. I feel like Vanessa has done everything that she can do to help in this manner. You know, she is who went out and you know, with help, of course, but she got a very high percentage of support for the, you know, for the $400,000 number. And then I thought that seemed like a lot, but I mean, this, even at $400,000, the MSBU that was going to be levied on them for more than 2/3 of the residents was going to more than double their property taxes, because it's a community where there's not a tremendous amount of property taxes paid by a number of the residents. So it was going to be a huge financial impact, but she still got the support of those people to levy that tax on themselves. At $700,000, it was going to be a tripling of property taxes for more than half of them. And she went and she got the signatures to levy, to, you know, have them levy that tax on themselves. And, I want to thank the board for their support every step of the way. Like I said, Vanessa, I hope that, you've perceived that I've done everything along the way that I've said that I would do. And I'm extremely disappointed in the process that ECUA has required them to go through, the time frame for getting to this point, and frankly, the partnership between them and the county, as well as them and it's their constituents as well.
Exactly.
And it's disappointing that that's where we are. And just for a little bit of background, she referenced the type of pipes that are in the ground. How this started, even before the first estimate from 2019, was they have 1 meter for the residents for the park. And I've never given the board this history because it didn't matter. But in this instance, since we're now talking these numbers, I do want to give you some history. They had 1 meter for the park, and the HOA had to divide the bill amongst the residents. The HOA, because of the time frame in which it was formed, is one of the older HOAs that may not have the teeth of many of the current HOAs, and they really have not been able to force people to pay. So, if you get half of the people paying their bills and half of them not, there wasn't, the enforcement, they didn't really have, and, that's how, the very first conversation was, is there something I can do to help is there something the county could do to help the HOA make these people pay? And in that instance, there wasn't. So then it's, well, maybe I'll I'll advocate on your behalf and see if we can get individual water meters for the residences, so you only pay for what you use. ECUA was unwilling to do that because they said we're not going to put individual meters in because all the water lines need to be upgraded to current code. Okay? So that's how we ended up at the first $307,000 figure to start with, or almost $400,000 to start with. And now we're here. I'm extremely disappointed. And, Vanessa, I didn't know the number until late yesterday as to what the new number was that you got.
Is it 2.8 million? Did you say 2.8 million?
They had 3 bids, $2,818,233.25. The second bid was $2,356,725, and the third bid was $2,452,320.35.
So they're still looking at 2.33. Vanessa, the money the board allocated a while back is set aside. Nothing's going to happen to that allocation, but I appreciate y'all coming down. Mr. Chairman, I'll work with her and Allison. This is now something I might need some help from you on. Maybe we push back and try to revisit the individual meters at the houses, and on some level, again, I feel like we as a board, as well as me as her representative, have taken the actions that were necessary to try to help. I feel like their HOA and she and her neighbors have done everything that they can do to try to help themselves. But there's a third partner that has jurisdiction, and we're just going to have to get some help from them, and on some level, perhaps some help from their board.
Yeah, amen. No, there's a number of things they're going to be asking from us. Some of them are not real popular. So we got to always keep that in mind too.
Well, this is extremely unpopular.
Yeah, I believe it. But there's one coming in my district that's not popular either. So
right.
there's
Vanessa.
some politics, there's some diplomacy we can.
Yeah.
But to me, you go from $400,000 to over $2 million.
Yeah.
Something's wrong. I mean, we get it. There's a supply chain issue. We get it. Our library, exceeded $400,000 in costs. But you're talking about quadrupling.
It
You're talking
is.
about more than quintupling.
Even
So-
from the $700,000 that the board approved earlier this year.
Yeah.
Which I thought, and I do remember, I didn't give a lot of history to the board when we voted to pass the MSBU, but I did mention at the time I wasn't happy about it, but she got signatures, that's what they want, that's what ECUA says it's going to cost, so we'll do it. But now I thought it would warrant a little bit of history, and Vanessa, I'll keep in touch, and I'll try to work with you, Allison, expect to be requested some help.
Commissioner Berry, in your negotiations with our friends over at ECUA, remember that we're putting millions and millions of CBG money into sewer, that we are not the enterprise of those toilet flushes and those faucets turning, and so we would hope that they would consider that we've been a great partner and a good friend, and so you'll have my support
Thank you.
in whatever negotiations that you need.
Yeah, I don't know that that's been considered.
Well, it really should be considered, I mean, because we've taken sewer on our shoulders, and, you know, we receive no money when people flush toilets, and so, whatever you need to do, you'll have support.
I just want to say real quick, I have a lot of angry residents, and the biggest thing is they're worried about their safety with that asbestos cement.
Yes, ma'am.
And we were told as long as it's contained in the ground and it does not break, that we should be okay. But unfortunately, our system is over 50 years old and we have breaks often. And so, you know, they're not happy. I mean, they've got the pitchforks ready to go to Channel 3 News and like blast.
Sure.
And I said, well, let me go in front of the commissioners and at least let you guys know what's going on before they're blasting people on Channel 3 News.
We appreciate it. Thank you for bringing it to our attention. I'm sure Stephen's going to be in contact with you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Steve, just thinking of ECUA, you remember we took over a sewer system back when Gene was on the board? Whatever happened to that? We bought lots and we did that. What's the status of that?
So, I think Allison could probably update us
Well,
a little bit better.
maybe Allison, I mean, but we
Yeah.
spent a lot of money. I'd love to get an update since we're talking budget.
Yeah, I'm not sure where the status is. I know we've sold some of the lots. I'm not 100% sure.
So how much money did we spend with ECUA? I mean, what's the status? We paid them out front? I mean, what was the cost and what have we
There-
recuperated? I mean, where are we on that?
There is an MSBU that you all voted on very recently on the next assessment on that. As far as how many lots have sold, I don't have the most current accounting on that.
Yeah, it's,
Well, it's money. We're in a budget. Somebody knows.
no, we did approve it, but it was significantly less this year than it was last year because we did sell some of those properties. Doug probably has some more
Well, maybe,
detail.
I mean, my question, Mr. Chairman, simply, I mean, what did we spend? What did ECUA spend? I mean, we made an investment in infrastructure and water and sewer. I'd just like to get those numbers. I mean,
Yeah.
somebody, I mean, we got
Doug,
1,500
do you
people that
want
work for us. Somebody ought to be able to tell me that.
Commissioner, I'll get you those numbers.
Okay,
All right.
thanks, Wes.
Doug, you're recognized.
I'd love to know.
Yeah, that was a highly complex deal and certainly one that would require a lot of information that, you know, certainly it sounds like the staff's going to get for you. But at the core of it, though, was a very robust communication and cooperation between my office and my counterpart at ECUA. And they came off of theirs some, we came off our expectations some. And then the citizens ended up footing the bill for what was left over. But it was, it's a very good example of how to handle these things. And it was really based on a huge cooperation and collaboration with ECUA. So it's well-trod path that may well, and certainly prayerfully, will help these folks now.
And that's fine, Commissioner O'Neill. I'm certainly, the number's not a boogeyman. I mean, the number is real. And so we made quite a bit of an investment into ECUA as a partner. I mean, you know, we should always be able to get the numbers of what we spent. I mean, that's a fair question in a budget meeting to know exactly what we spent.
Yep, and I think Wes is going to bring that back. All right, final speaker tonight is Chris Kerb. 3 minutes for Chris Kerb.
Good evening, Commissioners. Chris Kerb, Flood Defenders. Really didn't have any hopes of changing y'all's mind on increasing your budgets for drainage. And Joyce says you spend a lot of money on projects and infrastructure, just need more staff. One of the things that, bases and budgets, that's what I've been pretty much preaching here in the last couple of months. Escambia County and Santa Rosa County. Carpenters Creek, you got a master plan with a whole lot of projects. You'll need some funding for those. You do have some projects going on in Carpenters Creek, the Olive Road and the Franchise Heights area, which you got a grant for, which is good. Scenic Hills Basin, I believe y'all have that on your list to do a basin study update. And then you got Bayou Marcus Basin. You've got some projects going on in that basin and a little bit more. Point being, Basin modeling seems to be the direction that the state will be going. I believe Commissioner Bender, you went to, I'm not sure what meeting it was, but you mentioned Wes Brooks, the Chief Flood Resilience Officer, and House Bill 7053 and Senate Bill 1940. And the direction the state might be going with a lot of this, you know, they established the Florida Flood Hub. And basin studies is something that y'all might want to start focusing on. You already have a pretty good drainage inventory, but a lot of that needs to be updated. I don't see you doing it in this year's budget, but maybe next year. But that's all I needed to add tonight. I know the Florida Flood Hub, they had $5.5 million budget set up this year. So there's going to be a lot of good things coming out of that Chief Flood Resilience Office. So I'm keeping my eye on it, and I'll try to update y'all when I learn stuff. So thank you.
Thank you, Chris. All right, next up, board action items. Item number 6 on our agenda, action items continued. Number 1 is the board adoption of the final millage resolution for fiscal year 2022-2023. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt the final millage resolution presented in the agenda backup. Millage rates presented are countywide millage rate at 6.6165 mils, library MSTU at 0.3590 mils, and sheriff's law enforcement MSTU at 0.6850 mils. Chair would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'll wait till you finish this.
All right, that passes unanimously. Commissioner May, you're recognized.
Mr. Chairman, when we fund outside agencies, the funding that we put in reserve in case the organizations don't get funded by Children's Trust.
Yes, sir.
Was all money that was human service in youth development programs. I can just tell you our community centers and our youth programs are out knocking on doors begging for money. I would just ask, I mean, I don't know if I got to make a motion or we can give a direction, that if we don't have to fund these outside agencies, that this money stays in community centers and youth programs that we operate. Instead of going back into the general fund.
How could we do that, Stephen? Could you bring that as an agenda item? And then
So
we could vote on
Commissioners,
it?
this is an allocation in your general fund, which is in that aids to private agencies line item, basically. So I would wait for the board to give me additional direction, so that money's going to stay exactly there.
Well, I'm looking to give direction now that I want that money to stay in human services and youth programs because that's what it's allocated for. And we have staff and programs that we operate that's not adequately funded. And so that's what I'm asking, Mr. Chairman.
So what?
It's less than $50,000 in a $655 million budget. So it's less than $50,000.
Lumen, make a motion.
I make that motion that we put that money in human services and youth programs.
And what's the amount, Lumen?
Stephen, give it to me. It's 11,000 plus 10,250, 10,250 plus $18,050.
So Commissioner, point of clarification. So right now, Children's Trust did not fund these agencies?
Contingent upon them not funding them. I don't want the money going back in general fund. I want it to go back to youth
sir.
programs and community centers.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so is that a clear motion? And what was the grand total? Do we have
Can you
that?
give me that grand total, Stephen, please?
I got 49,550.
49,550. Yep, that's fine. It was close to 50,000.
You were right on it.
I was almost on it.
All right. So
Robert's running for office. He has to be correct.
wait a minute now. He's got 54,550.
So Commissioners, I am including the 5,000 for salt.
Yep, 54. I make the motion that we allocate $54,550 for youth programs in our recreation community centers.
Contingent upon it not being.
Contingent upon it not being funded by Children's Trust.
We have a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion on the topic? All right, please vote.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Absolutely. No time like the present to clean it up. All right, that passes 4-1 with Commissioner Underhill voting no. All right, next up on our agenda, the board adoption of a supplemental budget amendment resolution amending the tentative fiscal year 2022 to 2023 budget. We're looking for a motion that the board adopt the supplemental budget amendment resolution amending the fiscal year 2022-2023 tentative budget in the increased amount of $31,478,904 for the following funds. General Fund, $3,855,733. Escambia County Restricted Fund, $9,708. Local Provider Participant Fund, $27,086,411. Library Fund, $183,755. Misdemeanor Probation Fund, a negative $119,846. Article 5 Fund, $7,791. Gulf Coast Restoration Fund, $261,772. CDBG HUD Entitlement Fund, a negative $367,399. HUD Home Fund, a negative $59,888. Community Redevelopment Fund, $51,011. And the Transportation Trust Fund, $569,856.
If there's no discussion, Mr. Chairman, I'd certainly move the item.
Motion and second on that item? Is that clear? Please vote. All right, that passes 4-1 with Commissioner Underhill voting no. Next up, board adoption of the final budget resolution for fiscal year 22-23. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt the final budget resolution of $654,458,355 for fiscal year 2022-2023.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Motion and a second. Please vote. All right, that passes 4-1 with Commissioner Underhill voting against it. All right, final item on our agenda tonight is board adoption of the fiscal year 22-23 annual budget for the Santa Rosa Island Authority with all the information provided in the backup. Chair will entertain a motion that the board adopt the fiscal year 22-23 annual budget for the Santa Rosa Island Authority.
Move the item in the affirmative.
Second.
Motion is second on that. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
Wes, in terms of public works or requirements at Santa Rosa Island, are they doing what you want them to do in terms of their responsibility?
Yeah, Public Works is doing a fantastic job out on the island. Sure.
And they're holding up their lion's share of the funding from Santa Rosa Island Authority.
Well, I don't think we're holding up any share of funding from the Island Authority. Once we took Public Works over, took it in-house, we're funding it.
Okay.
All right, please vote. Lumen? Thank you, ma'am. All right. Santa Rosa Island Authority budget passes unanimously. Before I adjourn, is there anything for the good of the order? We're adjourned.